Hey guys, my name is Caitlin and welcome back to my channel. Trying to film this video today, the world is conspiring against me, I swear. It is Sunday. This video will be going up tomorrow. I wanted to film it on Wednesday, but then I was like, I can't be bothered, I'll do it on Sunday. That was my first mistake. I woke up this morning and I was like, yeah, I'll film it a little bit later. So I had a shower, started to do my makeup using this new BB cream that I'd bought because I ran out of my old one and was like, you know what, I'm gonna try this new one. Bought the lightest shade that they had because I need it. Put it on my face and it was literally orange. Like, not even the type of orange that you're like, okay, maybe I can salvage this. It is orange. I looked like I belonged in a Willy Wonka movie. So we had to wash that off, start again, and then right as I sat down to film, my uncle came over and the house was very noisy and I'm like, I can't film right now either. So it is currently 3:30 in the afternoon and I have family coming in about an hour. So I need to get this video done so that I don't have to stress about it anymore. This is the universe's way of telling me to stop filming wrap-ups. But yes, as you can tell, this is going to be my January wrap-up. We are finally getting around to filming and uploading it. I know we're going into the second week of Feb, but here we are. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of wrap-ups. I have said this before. I don't really like filming them because I don't really like rehashing every single book that I've read throughout the month, especially because I film quite a lot of reading vlogs or recommendations videos, and a lot of the books that I read I talk about in those other videos, and I don't want to be going through them over and over again, and I don't want my videos to get repetitive. But I had such a good reading month this month. I had like almost every book that I read was like a 4 or 5 star read. So we'll do this one. I read a total of 11 books this month if we are excluding the little Wattpad binge that I went on. One of the first things that I read this year was a 7-book Wattpad series. So that was fun. But we're not going to include that in this vlog. This video. The first book that I read this month and this year, I did kind of classify it as a 2021 read in my 2021 favorites video because I did start it in 2021, but I finished it on the 1st of January of 2022, so I guess we kind of have to include it in this video as well. That is Crywolf by Charlie Adhara, and that is the 5th book and the final book in the Big Bad Wolf series. I loved this series so much. Let me tell you, I did not expect to love it that much. I saw quite a few Goodreads reviews being like, oh, it's very like on again, off again, and like the romance takes a backseat to the mystery. And then I read it and I was like, this is good. This series has genuinely become one of my favorite series of all time. I absolutely adored it. I love all of our characters and I really love longer series because I do enjoy how much character development and the relationship and just how we get to see that expanding over so many books. I love it. I'm a sucker for it. I do really hope we get another book following this series. I have heard rumors that we're getting a spin-off from Eli's point of view, which he is one of the side characters that we met, I think, in book 2 or 3, and everyone loves him. I can't wait. I also really hope that we might get some like bonus content from Oliver's point of view because this whole series is only told from one of our main characters' perspectives. So if we can get in Oliver's head for a little bit, that would be much appreciated. The second book that I read this year was Strings Attached by Riley Hart, and this was yet another 5-star read. I really enjoyed this book. I absolutely devoured it. It just flew by, which I loved and also didn't really love because I wanted it to last so much longer. Harrison and Xander were some of the nicest characters I think I've ever read about, and seeing them persevering and pushing through and being so motivated despite the shit hands that they've been dealt was just so beautiful. It was also way more of a feel-good romance than I was expecting, and I wasn't expecting it to be angsty at all, but generally with a climax, I feel like in an age gap especially, the characters do separate for a little bit because they're kind of like, oh my god, age gap, like what am I doing? And then they eventually come back together. But we didn't actually have that, which I loved, because it's another thing I find in age gaps, and I'm pretty sure I mentioned this in a reading vlog a while ago, that typically the climax of an age gap story is them revealing their relationship to someone that they're close to, whether that's a relative or a friend. But that wasn't actually the climax of this story. We got that out of the way in like one of the first few chapters. So the climax of the story instead was them realizing, hold on, this isn't the no strings attached relationship that we thought it was, hence the title, strings attached. The only downside that I had, and I'm pretty sure in the reading vlog I actually said I was going to give this book a 4.5, and I upped it to a 5-star read because I didn't think this was very major. I do just wish we got to see a little bit more character development on Xander's side. Even in the epilogue, which took place quite a few years later, I felt like he hadn't quite developed as much as it was written that he had. I feel like that didn't really make sense. In the epilogue, it was kind of like, yeah, you know, like he's gotten past all this stuff, but it didn't really come across that way. He still acted and kind of like seemed like the same character that we read about through the rest of the book. But that aside, I loved it. The third book that I read in January was Roommate Arrangement by Saxon James, and this was the first book in the Divorced Men's Club series. I gave this book a 4.5 out of 5. I really loved it. It flew by, and I loved that throughout the whole throughout the whole book, there was kind of like this underlying notion that you don't need to change yourself for anyone, that, you know, just being yourself, you will find your person and who loves you for the way you are. And I really enjoyed that. The only reason that I didn't give it a 5-star is because, and I mentioned this in the reading vlog as well, there was that point around the 60% mark where I felt like one of our characters did something that was very out of character for them. I didn't enjoy it. If you want to know what I'm talking about and you haven't read it, I did actually reply to a comment that someone asked on that video explaining what happened. I just didn't want to include it in the video because I didn't want to spoil it for anyone, because it was still a very new release at the time. Next, we have my lowest rated book of January. And that was Super Hot Wingman by Serena Bowen and Lauren Blakely. This was the prequel to The Best Men that I rated 2 out of 5 stars. I felt so bad putting, because I use like those monthly templates on my Instagram, and I felt so bad putting the little 2-star symbol there. I gave this a 2 stars because I did think it was kind of pointless. If you watched the reading vlog that I uploaded a little while ago, this is probably going to seem very repetitive, and I'm sorry. The reason that I gave this a 2 out of 5 is just because it felt very pointless, and everything that was mentioned in this little novella was also talked about again in the full-length novel. So I'm like, why did we really need this? Like, it was only 50 pages or so. We didn't really learn anything new that we weren't already learning in the novel itself. So I was like, why did I need to read this? That being said, I did end up enjoying the actual novel, which is The Best Men. I think I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. This book was a little bit of a roller coaster. I didn't actually start enjoying it and really sinking into the story until around the 25 to 30% mark. I have no idea why. I don't know if it was because I started the book when I was half asleep and really tired and therefore didn't really make that connection straight away, or if I just didn't gel with the writing style until the plot was underway. Either way, once we got past that point, I really ended up loving it. I was hooked on it. I didn't want it to end. I really enjoyed where the story went. So if you are going to try reading this novel and you're not really gelling with it in the beginning, I would just recommend giving it until at least the 25% mark, and then if you're still not liking it, don't bother. I feel like that sounded bad, but like, there are too many books out there to read to persevere with one that you're not enjoying. Okay, this next book was totally unexpected. So this is Love in a Truck Stop Bathroom by Sebastian O'Connor. Just by the title, I was like, which way is this gonna go? Am I sure I'm gonna like this? But so many people recommended it to me, and they all had nothing but good things to say about it, so I was like, okay, sure, why not? I absolutely love this book. It flew by because it isn't a full-length story, it is just a novella, but even still, somehow the author managed to incorporate so many things and so much detail into this one story. I honestly have no idea how he did it. Like, by the time we'd hit the 30-page mark, I thought we were like 100 pages in. But I did say in my Goodreads review, it also has that trope that I've never quite been able to name, where you've got two characters who are anonymously texting one another, not knowing that they actually know one another in real life and kind of have a crush on the real life person as well. I did say, I was like, if someone knows what to call this trope, please tell me. And someone did comment saying it's called, it actually has a name, that it's a two-person love triangle. I don't know if that's a thing, but if it is a thing, thank you for giving me that name. If you're looking for a short story that is very nice and steamy, but also just really beautiful and sweet, then 100% delve into this one, please. The next book that I read last month was a reread, and that was Pop Star by Ian Finley. I decided to reread this before delving into Iris because I just wanted him to be nice and fresh in my mind before I delved into his story. I didn't want to forget anything about his character. And of course, the next book that I read was Iris, also by Eden Finley, and that is the first book in the Mike Bright Bravo Ops series, which I'm so keen for the rest of these books. You have no idea. I genuinely did not know how much I wanted to read about Iris's story until Eden announced that she was writing it, and even then I was kind of like, okay, let's see how this goes. And then let me just tell ya, Iris and Saint have taken out the #1 spot for my favorite couple out of Eden Finley's works. Honestly, they have beat Harley and Bricks. They were sitting at #1. Now it's Iris. I absolutely loved this book. It had so many tropes and just overall general aspects that I absolutely love to read about, and this story was just so beautiful that it absolutely flew by, which was again good and depressing. My 9th read of January was Savage Rivals by Becca Steele. Hello? Hi. What you doing? Off she goes. The 9th book that I read this month was Savage Rivals by Becca Steele, and I cannot believe how long it took me to finally read this book. I do think that it was kind of fate that I came back to this book when I did, because originally the way that I sometimes pick books if I really just don't know what to read next, I ask Siri to pick a number between 1 and however many books are on my TBR, and she picked this book, and so I went to read it and then realized it hadn't actually been released yet, and so I kind of forgot about it until I did the exact same thing. I was like, Siri, pick a number for me. She picked this book again, so I had to read it, and I'm obsessed. This book was so absorbing that I just completely forgot to highlight absolutely anything until I was about 80% of the way through this book, which is crazy because I'm a highlighter. I love to highlight things, and I was just so far absorbed that I was like, nah, nothing. I have like 3 highlights for this book and that's it. Asher and Levi are definitely some of my favorite MCs to read about. I loved their rivalry, I loved their chemistry, I loved their bond. It was just so beautiful. Like, if you are looking for an enemies to lovers, look no further than this book if you haven't read it already. Do yourself a favor and read it. The second last book that I read in January, you all know it was Mortal Skin by Lily Mayne. This book wrecked me. If you want to see what it was like for me reading this book, go check out my most recent video. I filmed a reading vlog purely dedicated to this book. I was at that point after reading this book, I was in such a book hangover. I didn't want to read anything else. I was like, please, just, I don't think I can function until I know what happens. That I didn't even write anything in my Goodreads review. I said, review to come, and then promptly wrote nothing. So I probably need to go back and fix that. And again with this one, I was so absorbed that I just completely forgot to highlight anything. I have 1 highlight in this whole book. Are you kidding me? I did find it really funny though. I did post the link for the Mortal Skin reading vlog in Lily's Facebook group, and she actually watched it herself and commented like in the Facebook post, and I was like, that's kind of cool. That's really cool. I fangirled a little bit. But yes, Mortal Skin broke me. I need book 2, but at the same time, I think what I'm gonna do, because I don't think I can handle another cliffhanger, so I think what I'm gonna do is buy book 2 when it comes out so that I can still support her, but wait until book 3 is released, and then I'm just gonna reread book 1 and go the whole way through, because I cannot go through that one more time. But anyway, I gave this book 4.5. I don't really remember why I took off the 0.5, but it would have been for a reason. Probably because I was annoyed that I have to wait. The final book that I read in the month of January was Cross the Line by Becca Steele. This also takes place at Oldstone High, which is one of the high schools mentioned in Savage Rivals, and it is another enemies to lovers. It is only a novella, but truly it didn't seem like one because there was just so much detail packed into this one little thing, and I absolutely adored it. Becca Steele does the whole enemies to lovers, rivalry, awakened sexuality transition so bloody well. And those are all of the books that I read in the month of January. I am so happy with the reading month that I had last month. I'm really hoping that that kind of transitions to the rest of the year, and it's staying true for February so far. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this little more laid back version of my normal wrap-ups. I definitely had more fun filming it than I do the other ones, so let me know if you enjoyed watching it. But yes, be sure to give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed, and hit that subscribe button down below if you'd like to see similar similar content, and also comment down below if you've read any of the books that I mentioned or if you plan on it, because I definitely would love to know your thoughts. Again, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next week with another video. Bye.